Guys, here's a friendly reminder. Hackers are getting more sophisticated each year, and if you're not careful, they will make your life miserable. Are you doing everything you can to protect yourself online? I've been a NordVPN customer long before they were a show sponsor. Their software allows me to safely browse the internet without being traced. NordVPN's advanced encryption hides your location and encrypts all your data, whether you're sending or receiving. You'll enjoy a fast and stable connection anywhere in the world, and one account secures 6 devices. NordVPN also allows you to bypass geo-restrictions where content is blocked from certain countries. Try NordVPN risk-free for a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to nordvpn.com/Sonnen. Use the coupon Sonnen to get a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month with a huge discount. That's nordvpn.com/Sonnen, or click on the link in the description to get this special deal. I'm going to talk about Will Fury versus Jake Paul now, because if that fight gets made, I will never speak of it again. And I'm very worried because I love the experiment of Jake Paul. I want something good to happen to Jake Paul. I really do. I want him to get what he's looking for, which is the competition, the hard work, but the respect and the accolades that go along with it. Jake's in a bit of a tricky spot. I wouldn't go as far as to call it a tough spot, but it's tricky. It has to be handled just right. When you do great pay-per-view numbers and you have a bad night, that's life. Everybody does it. George Strait doesn't sell out every show. He does the same thing every single time, and then sometimes something happened that night that everybody can guess at, but nobody will know for sure, and the audience isn't packed. It's the way that it goes. All right, George can't do that twice in a row. If George does it 3 times in a row, George is no longer playing arenas. He's now playing concert halls. It's just the way that it works, right? The baseball rule of 3 strikes and you're out is true with everything in life. So the next move that Jake does needs to be done right. There is no chatter if we're to go today. That can all change. That can change overnight. But we've had 30 to 40 nights and it hasn't changed once. It's just about Will Fury. And what would the story of that be? The reason I tell you I won't talk about it, what the hell would I have to say? And they don't want me talking about it. I'm not going to do anything to help hype that fight because I don't have anything to hype it. What's the point that these two are fighting? Will didn't have his balls the first time, but he got shamed into it by social media and his own family, and he's going to make sure that he does the walk the second time as long as there's enough money that he can fall into. I mean, it doesn't work. What am I possibly going to say? And what are they fighting for? They're fighting because Jake wants his respect and he wants to show that he's fighting an actual boxer. Will's not a boxer. Will's a guy from a family of boxers, and Will has boxed. That doesn't fit the criteria. And it's a giant middle finger to the audience when it gets revealed to us that Will's opponents had a combined record of 4 wins and 158 losses. When that gets revealed to us, that one of Will's wins was over a guy that had 2 wins and 99 losses. I didn't even know that a commission could sanction such a thing. I mean, this guy's got to be fighting out in Biloxi every other weekend. It's a giant middle finger for what they tried to pull over on us the first time with the audience. However, if I was to ask you guys, or you were to ask me, right now, who do you want to see Jake Paul fight the most? You're going to say Will. It doesn't mean you want to see him fight Will. The question was rigged with the most, because they haven't put anybody else in there. Look, a way better idea is just shine Will up one time. Put Will in there with an actual boxer. Guy doesn't need to be any kind of a world beater, but he needs to be a real boxer. He won the Golden Gloves. Maybe he made a world team. Maybe he was an Olympic hopeful. That'll do. Maybe he's got a pro record of 8 wins and 1 loss, or a pro record of 5 wins and no losses, or he's 15-4, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be something beautiful, just a real guy. You put Will in there one time with a real guy, and you tell the story ahead of time, which is Jake is going to be there and Jake is going to be in the front row. Jake will fight Will if Will beats this guy. You've got to shine him up in some fashion. You have to. It doesn't work the way it is right now. It's going to be laughed at. And the people that are encouraging Jake to do this are setting him up. They aren't his real friends. All of the media that is saying, oh no, this is going to work. The second they sign that contract and it's Will, the media is going to come out with the plan they had in the first place, which is to do what I'm doing right now. They're going to laugh at him. They're going to degrade it. They're going to take every good opportunity away from Jake. It is their plan. The media is telling Jake, do this fight. This is the one that makes sense. They're setting him up. And as soon as those contracts are signed, no media is going to help to push this fight. They're going to do what I have the courage to admit I'm going to do right now, which is bury the fight. They're going to bury it. There is no scenario where they're going to give Jake anything, including a pat on the back. So they will set the story up ahead of time. The boxing community ahead of time is going to turn on this fight and say, Will is not our representative. He does not represent our community. He is not who we wanted forward. They're going to pull back from the fight. It's their plan. And all they need to go into hater mode is a contract that's signed that nobody can get out of. Then they're going to piss all over the thing. They're going to wait for it to bomb. They're going to come out with these headlines, and they're going to act as though boxing is resurrected and the entertainment spectacle that this is now long behind us. They're setting him up. And you can mark my words, this is exactly how it will play out. They will encourage this fight and encourage it until the very next day. Then they will go into full-on, this is garbage mode, which gets a whole bunch of clicks and a whole bunch of headlines. And it's what they want, but they can't do it. They can't make the heel turn until they get that damn contract signed. The match doesn't work. What I just suggested does. Go find a guy. You want to know a fight that would work? Put Will Fury in there with Tyron Woodley. And I'm not saying you're going to have blockbuster. That's not where I'm going. You want to know a match that would work? You put them in there. That could even be a co-main event on some card, but you add the caveat that Jake will be in the front row. And if Will can show that he can handle himself with Tyron, then Will belong in there with Jake. The problem with doing that, Will can't beat Tyron. Will would not beat Tyron. And if Will wouldn't show up to fight Jake just because of the pressures that came with, it's going to be even more pressure to fight a guy who Jake's beaten twice. And he wouldn't show up for that. Trust me. Bring in a guy. Somebody that fits the bill that I just said. Doesn't have to be a big marquee name. Askren wasn't a marquee name in boxing. Tyron had a pretty good name, but it wasn't in boxing. Will's got a very strong last name, but the boxing community does not accept him as one of theirs. None of them mean it. And they will bury this fight in the press long before bell time. They will not even give these guys the opportunity. It is what they are gunning for right now. They just need those contracts signed so they can come out on the hater tour. The problem that this has is nobody else has offered themselves. I'm not sure that Jake Paul isn't the most feared man in boxing, because nobody's saying that they want to fight him. Now, you will get guys to fight him. They like the payday. They like the attention. There's guys that are got the courage to bite down and go take that beating. But they're few and far between. You got to add some extra commas. You got to add some extra zeros. They're well aware what is likely to happen, and they will be exactly what I just said, which is removed, isolated, and cut out from the boxing community so that boxing can hold its head up strong. Guys, this is a day-old story. You may be too young to know, but there was once a year called 1993. And in 1993, something called the Ultimate Fighting Championship debuted. Now, the idea behind this, without a doubt, you get a few smart people in a room. They realize we're going to bring in karate. So everybody that's ever done karate ever is going to come to watch this guy. And then we're going to bring in taekwondo. And even if that community's small, anybody that does taekwondo anywhere in the world or ever has is going to come support this guy. Then we're going to bring in judo. And even though that community is not very big, we're going to get 100% of judo practitioners. This was the idea, and this was the thought, that you were going to mix martial arts and you're going to have support from everybody. When this experiment failed miserably and the whole world got revealed that what Chuck Norris was doing on TV doesn't work in real life, the karate community, just by example, they didn't get behind it and think, well, send in another representative and send in a better representative and let us train and let us prepare for it. They actually told their students, don't watch this. Do not support this. They then really spun it and said the techniques of karate are so dangerous that they cannot be applied in this kind of a competition because somebody could be seriously injured, right? I mean, you meet the guy that went through the military and he comes out and he says he can kill somebody 7 different ways with his thumb tip. Like, you've heard these things. This is a real thing, and as long as you can keep it quiet, it seems to work. But all of the martial arts, and I isolated karate, but all of the martial arts went to their students and said, don't get behind the sport. don't watch this sport. Our techniques are so dangerous and so vicious that we won't send our best in there because we don't want to hurt the opponent. So let me continue to show you for $40 a month these techniques in my studio with the promise that you never actually tried to apply them. This is to give you confidence, to protect yourself, but don't actually try to do it right. I mean, the opposite happened. This is not Chael's opinion. I'm stating a factual piece of the history, of the timeline, of the rise of mixed martial arts. The same thing is true on a one-off in the sport of boxing, and boxing is never going to let one of their representatives go in and be beat by Jake Paul. They won't. And they're so nervous and so worried about it, they will carve that person out of their community prior to the match. This is something that will never be given to Jake. Jake will have to take it at some point. Jake will have to get a Canelo to step into the situation. Somebody who absolutely cannot be denied. It's the only way that that's going to work. Or set that on hold. That doesn't matter. Let's just go and have some fun. We got a new number. The number is 69,000. All we got to do is beat that to show that we're progressing. Bob's your uncle, and off we go. I mean, there's all sorts of things that if you remove one piece that could be true. My auntie, if she had balls, would be my uncle. We can play this game until we're blue in the face. Jake versus Fury is a terrible idea. But Jake is being set up, and he's being encouraged by people he thinks he can trust to go inside a bout contract and have this match. They are going to turn on him the day that that is signed. Jake needs to know that. We all must come forward with another or better idea, and nobody seems to want to step on that grenade. And Will won't take the deal that I just proposed. Will not go fight Tyron Woodley for the right to fight Jake Paul. He will not do it. If you presented him with it, he's going to need more. He's going to have 20 different excuses to not go do that because it's an even bigger risk. He'd rather take the embarrassment one night for $2 million, go back to England and plan his next move. There needs to be a fight, a contendership fight. There needs to be some kind of a bout with somebody who for sure is welcomed into the boxing community. That guy needs to be defeated by Will so that Will by default is accepted into the community so that when Jake goes out and competes him, Jake has something to be there for.